financial crisis recovery.
Foreclosure, short sales, bankruptcy, credit card debt, job loss, depreciating home values, money management. Peace of mind when it comes to your finances seems completely out of reach under current conditions, but there is a way to achieve it. For the next 60 minutes, you're going to find out how to cover your assets. Cover your assets.
They won't be able to qualify for bankruptcy. Now, if they get divorced, and listen to this carefully, and if they both agree to jointly pay back 50% of the accumulated debt that they had within the marriage, when they walk away, the spouse who discharges the debt and is eligible to do that, the one who presumably in this case has no income, can discharge their debt, but they'll then still be legally obligated, because remember what happens now is that debt falls 100% to that other spouse who is not capable of filing the bankruptcy, and because more than likely the debt was joint and several, meaning either one of them could be forced to pay 100% of that debt back. Now the other spouse whose income was too high after the divorce, who can't qualify for the bankruptcy, cannot discharge the debt, but now the obligated spouse who discharged the debt can now be sued by the one who cannot for the debt that they didn't pay because they harmed the one who could not file the bankruptcy. These are very complicated issues, and the idea that a couple should be consulting with someone as to how to position themselves for divorce and bankruptcy simultaneously, again, these are things that generally don't occur to people. So it's a very, very touchy subject, can be managed properly, but you actually should seek legal counsel and seek help. We're going to go to a break here, and I want to encourage you to call in and get your questions answered by attorney David Kingsbury, bankruptcy attorney David Kingsbury, 651-646-8255, 651-646-8255. Go to the Cover Your Assets, CYA21.com. That website is CYA21.com, and download Financial Crisis Bible. The Financial Crisis Bible. You can also go directly to www.financialcrisisbible and get your questions answered. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about why so many people end up filing bankruptcy once and then going on to do it again, and what distinguishes the difference between a good bankruptcy attorney and someone who is inexperienced. We'll take a break. Welcome back to Cover Your Assets. Here speaking with attorney David Kingsbury. And we are talking about bankruptcy and how bankruptcy can be used as a tool and all the things that people typically do not understand about bankruptcy. Now, one of the things that I find is that folks have this belief that all bankruptcy attorneys are created equal. You know, this guy says he'll only charge me $1,000, and I got another guy over here who wants to charge me $5,000. And, you know, look, it's pretty much all the same, isn't it, David? I mean, what's the difference? There's no difference. This is just a better deal.
Oh, boy. Quite often the first thing out of somebody's mouth when I answer the phone, when my staff tells me there's somebody that needs some bankruptcy advice, how much do you charge? How much do you charge? And I just kind of go, that really should not be the biggest issue. I realize it's an issue because we're talking about bankruptcy, but first of all, any attorney that will give you a fee quote over the phone without knowing even your name is a fool. And you'd be a fool to hire them, because what's going to happen there, too, is they're going to lowball you to get you in their office. And guess what? Oh, you got this going on, you got that going on, and it's going to be quite a bit more. Anybody that would stick to a very low ball fee probably isn't going to be doing bankruptcy very long, or they're going to be changing their practices fairly quickly because these are complicated cases.
I would say they're learning on your dime is what I would say.
Well, you know, what's going to happen when you find a cut rate attorney is you just found an attorney that wants to earn his training wheels doing your case, which is a big mistake in any area legal practice, if you ask me. When I hire an attorney, I don't do my own legal work. If I got an issue going on, I'm going to find an experienced attorney to help me out, and I'm going to pay what it takes to get the job done right.
Well, you know, you bring up an interesting point, because you know if you're gonna deal with your own stuff, typically you're not the best person
Fool for a client,
Right,
they say. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
We've got a lot of attorneys who are out there and are all venturing into the bankruptcy world because there's so much of it going on.
Here's the deal. I was doing bankruptcy before bankruptcy was cool. All right? Well, for a long time, there's a bankruptcy attorney in town that's been doing it since the Truman administration. They always said, isn't it interesting that all these other practitioners out there in different areas of legal practice treat us like they were something they'd want to scrape off their shoe. But isn't it interesting that they're all getting into bankruptcy now? Listen, the recession has been tough on everybody. It's been tough on attorneys, too. Kids coming out of law school can't find jobs. Older practitioners, practices have dried up. What's the growing area of legal practice? Bankruptcy. What's everybody doing? Bankruptcy. Unfortunately, they're not doing a very good job. Here's an interesting thing that'll kind of crystallize it, I think. The court about a year and a half ago came up with this very long 4 to 5 page form. Notice of responsibilities of debtors and their attorneys. The and their attorneys was really the focus. The judges got tired of these attorneys showing up in court saying, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. Now that we've got this form, the attorney has to sign it. The client has to sign it. It's very detailed on what your attorney's got to do to prosecute one of these cases for you, what you as the debtor has to do. And so if that attorney shows up in court and says, Judge, I didn't know, the judge is going to say, no, you signed a form, you supposedly read it, not an excuse anymore. It's a sad commentary to say that they felt like they had to do that. It just, the quality of the bankruptcy bar, quite frankly, disintegrated. 6-7 years ago, there were maybe 10 of us that did bankruptcy full-time all day, every day. Now there's hundreds trying to do the same thing. And they're onesies and twosies and here and there and kind of thing. And, the word experience, that's all relative, right? In my experience, if I've done 6 bankruptcy cases, I guess if I don't have too many under my belt, I guess I am. For me, I think your attorney should have at least a decade's worth of practice exclusively in bankruptcy and have done thousands of cases. Otherwise, you're buying a pig in a poke. I don't care what you're going to pay. I tell you what, somebody comes to me and they've had an attorney screw up their case, I'm going to charge them more to fix it than I would have charged them to do it right in the first place.
And the thing about bankruptcy law, per se, which is state statute, and this is an interesting point.
Well, it's federal law, but they're state exemption statutes, right? Yeah.
Okay, but the reality is it's not hard and fast. It's the arguments that are brought that determine how the law is interpreted, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's the statutes, but you have courts because statutes need to be interpreted. It'd be easy if the statutes could do all for every situation, but they don't. And that's the other thing where experience comes into play. I have lots of my clients, we get through their hearing and they go, wow, that went really smooth. Those other guys, they got like crucified, That's because I know what to say. I know how to say it. I know what not to say. I can anticipate a trustee's questions, concerns. I know where they're going to go when they see a certain asset or a certain kind of transfer. And I know how to end run them and head them off at the pass. Inexperienced attorneys, they're not going to know how to do that. They're going to be the ones up there watching you sweat.
So we're really talking about a lot of variation in bankruptcy. You've got the variation of the individual counties where these cases are brought. You've got the individual trustees who are human beings who vary greatly, and one could be enormously aggressive, and the other one may be very docile, and how they approach things. And you're prepared.
Well, the problem is you can't pick your trustee.
Right.
You get who you get. And it's actually not filed by county. It's all federal.
Right.
Your county will determine where your hearing is going to be.
That's
and what
I'm
trustee
talking
gets
about.
But there's a number of them in every county.
Exactly.
And some of them are really super aggressive. Others aren't. But they're all good at what they do. They're good attorneys. They have a lot of oversight by the U.S. Trustee's Office. They get audited. So none of them are going to do a bad job. It's that some of them are a little more inclined and happy and have a lot of glee when they can take something from you than others will. Yeah.
Well, and having an experienced attorney who's prepared to deal with that is pretty important. I want to encourage you all to call in with your questions, 651-646-8255. We're sitting here and have the enormous pleasure and ability to sit here with a bankruptcy attorney who ordinarily is not going to sit and talk with people unless they're clients. So to have an opportunity to call into the show and get some of your questions answered is a real opportunity and a real treat. Also, if you're not able to do that, by all means, go to CYA21.com, CYA21.com, and shoot us an email, and we can get that question forwarded on to David. Maybe that means that you need to sit down and schedule an appointment with David, and we'd love to be able to put you in contact with him. The phone number here is 651-646-8255. That number again, 651-646-8255. And also remember, you can download the Financial Crisis Bible and give you a lot of insight so that before you begin to go down these roads, you will have enough information to be dangerous and at least can have a productive meeting with a professional like David. So before we wrap up the show, and we're getting close to the end here, I wanted to cover just one thing that I felt would be important. What should a consumer expect to pay for a bankruptcy, and why is there such a variation? You covered that a bit, David, but just in general terms, what are we generally looking at for an experienced bankruptcy attorney? What are most of them charging for a straightforward bankruptcy? And when you get into a little complexity, when they've got real estate and things, are there surcharges? How does it really work?
I guess I would say, I mean, if somebody presses me and, they just want a ballpark, I'm okay with that. Plain Jane, Chapter 7 case, you're looking at a couple of grand, including the filing fee. We do pull a credit report for our clients. You get into Chapter 13s, they're quite a bit more because they're more complicated. Most Chapter 7 cases, you're probably looking between $2,000 and $2,500, somewhere around there for a good attorney that knows what they're doing. Complicating factors over the median income, businesses, multiple pieces of real estate.
Go ahead.
Multiple pieces of real estate, last track was that, trust, those types of things. And it could be transfers, all types of different things can factor into the fee. So it's until we do the case analysis. And I'll tell you, here's one of the things. People call up and we don't do free consults in my office. We charge for it, okay? That's number one. I want to get rid of the tire kickers, right? But people, you never know what you're going to end up with. You need to do a 2-hour analysis, basically, to find out what's going on. Then I can quote a definitive fee for what I'm going to charge somebody for their case.
Well, free consultations are generally worth what you pay for them, right?
I always tell people, if my advice is worth absolutely nothing, why on earth would you take it? Secondly, I can tell you the attorneys that offer free consults, they're not doing a case analysis for you. They're making an analysis of maybe can this person file, and more importantly, can they pay me? That's what they're looking for. It's not going to last very long. Yeah,
absolutely. So, listen, we're going to wrap up here. One last thing here. We wanted to encourage you to go to CYA21.com and download the Financial Crisis Bible, CYA21. We also wanted to real quick tell you, encourage those people that know veterans who are returning. We've got the Red Bull, 2,500 people who are service members returning. We represent Beyond the Yellow Ribbon, and we'd love to go to CYA21 and have you shoot us an email.